All right, in this exercise, we are doing hip interrotation 90-90 pails and rails. So in this 90-90 position where everything in the lower shoulder is at 90 degrees, we're going to work on this internally rotated hip. So in this position, I want you to think about a neutral spine, whatever that means to you, just not fully rounded or fully extended, somewhere in between. And then we're going to rotate the center of our chest over this knee. If you can do it this way and keep your upright torso with your chest centered over the knee without feeling your back being torqued out, this is a fair place to start. If not, I prefer you leaning back to keep a neutral position in the spine. Again, center your chest over this internally rotated knee, and your main focus for the passive stretch, so the initial part of the exercise, is a 2-minute passive stretch where you're trying to get that glute down towards the ground. So as you're sitting here for 2 minutes, you're just thinking about, where do you feel this? Where is that stretch? Ideally, you should feel some stretch here. You might feel here in the TFL, or you might feel here in the groin. I'm going to have you focus on trying to work through that as much as you can, with the end goal of being mostly in the glute here. So as you're sitting here in the passive stretch, just kind of hold, thinking about just dropping this glute down. So as we're passively holding this stretch, what makes this interrotation is that your femur is trying to rotate this direction. Right? So if I'm looking at my leg here, I want the rotation to happen this way, as the pelvis is trying to drop down in the opposite direction. That's how we get more internal rotation. Pelvis drops, femur rotates the opposite direction. That's internal rotation. Now that the 2-minute passive stretch is done, what we're going to do is go immediately into the first pails contraction. The pails contraction is keeping nothing moves, core engaged. You're going to think about driving the foot and ankle down towards the ground, ramping up intensity till you get to your greatest and safest effort by 20 to 30 seconds. Immediately after that pails contraction, you're going to try to drop the glute. You're going to relax that contraction, but you're trying to drop the glute further down towards the ground as you press your knee down into the ground. And that's your rails contraction, and you hold this for 10 seconds. So you should notice is that the glute should be able to drop a little bit further. You should be able to add some pressure into the knee, but the intensity of the stretch should get more intense. And you do 3 sets of those pails and rails. Again, a little refresher on what pails is. In this neutral position, after the passive stretch, ankle and foot pressed down into the ground, everything in the body nice and tight. And then your rails is trying to drop the glute further to the ground as you press the knee down into the ground. Doesn't matter what this hip is doing. It's okay if you want to try and assist a little bit to see if you get more in that rails, but it should be deep into the hip here.